Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Fiona and I'm a full-time artist. And on this channel, I like to take you with me in my artistic journey. So I show you projects here in my studio, I do the occasional art haul, I go out to see art exhibits, I show you my mural process when I work on those start to finish. Just lots of different art related things that are going on in my life. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please like and subscribe. It helps me out so much and I would really appreciate it. Okay, we got Zelda here. She wanted to say hi to everyone. But this video has been quite some time in the making. I started filming it back in January, and my approach this year to videos was I thought, I'm gonna make videos that are project-based, because I always thought with the mural projects, for instance, it's very easy. You have a distinct start and finish, and it's kind of like a nicely packaged video where you get to see that whole process. And I thought this painting video would be that, where I would show you me working on it, and there would be like a really distinct start and finish. It didn't quite work out that way. So the start of this footage goes all the way back to January, but essentially I worked on a body of work for the first half of this year because it is June now, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So we're gonna let Fiona from the past jump in, and I'm going to say that this is probably gonna be a multiple part video. Just looking at the footage, I can already tell that it would be too long to do one video about it. So it might be like a two-parter, if not more. But anyway, let's get caught up, let's catch up. So let's jump into it. Good morning, here in the studio. And I know I've been struggling to finish this painting, so I'm just gonna move on to another one in the same series and get working on it. There's something right now in like my art practice where I feel very detached from my paintings, and I was talking to Maria about it, and I think what's happened is the last year's been so busy with other things, and I don't like to be interrupted when I work on a painting. I like to really get into it. Like the stopping and starting with paintings, just that process doesn't work for me. So I need to like put everything else aside to just focus on painting. And I think that's what I'm gonna do this week. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump into it. Let's do it. All right, it is time 3:30, and so far today I've spent time on this large piece and that, and then I went ahead and made myself like these little notes. So like this one says dots, so I know on this piece I want the same technique as that. This would go there, marks here, my mark making here. So I can kind of remember, because when this takes me several days, sometimes I'll come in the morning and be like, wait, what was I thinking of for that? So I like sometimes using little Post-its. I've done this forever, even with older works. And I still have this one here. So I'm hoping to get this one to a similar point as this. And maybe when I get even the rest of the canvases, which are hidden behind here, they're there. But the ones in the same body of work, kind of get them all to the same place. I can kind of decide what the final details will be and tie it all together. But yeah, I'm just happy to be back in painting at this point. And to just talk a little bit about where I feel where I'm at with my painting right now. I think I got to a place where I was waiting for everything else to be done in my life, and I would like prioritize my painting last, because I know when I get into paintings, I really like to get to spend time with them, and I don't like being interrupted while working on paintings, if that makes sense. Like, I don't like working on a painting one day and then something else the next day, because it sort of interrupts my dialogue with the piece, if that makes any sense. I think that's why with that larger work, I've been having a hard time finishing it, because other stuff comes up and I keep putting it aside, and then it's a little bit hard to re-engage with the work. But with that said, I looked at my calendar this week and I was like, okay, my week is pretty open, so I really want to focus on working on these paintings as much as I can, and hopefully that can flow into the next few weeks too. I do have a few things here or there, but trying to get back to prioritizing my painting, and then maybe even finding out a way to work on them where I can have interrupted time but still get back into it. That's gonna be my personal challenge. So I don't know. I also find with myself that sometimes when I'm in the middle of a piece, I get to a point where there's like a hump I need to get over to finish it. And I know, speaking with many of you guys and other artists, they're like, oh, like getting started is the hardest part. But for me, it's like the middle area. Like, I'm really excited and happy to get started on stuff, but then I kind of get to a middle zone where I'm like, I'm not sure what's next or where the work is going. And that hump is harder to get over if I haven't been working on the piece consecutively. It's like I don't have a clear vision of it, if that makes any sense. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of fill you guys in on my thoughts about it, and hopefully we can get a series of work done. Ideally, I would hope that I can finish this by spring, and I've never done this before, but I see other artists do it and I've always wanted to, which is work on an entire body of work and then launch it at once. With my paintings, I tend to make one and then like post it and put it in my shop and be like, here's this painting. But I would really like to make this a body of work, maybe even make some ceramics that go with it, and then post the collection at once, if that makes any sense. But we'll see what happens, because I always have ideas and thoughts about how I see something going and then it doesn't go that way. All right, I'm gonna let this layer dry a little bit and have a snack and get back into it. So see you guys later. Good morning. It is another week now. I think when I initially started this video, I thought, oh, I have a free week. I'm gonna focus on painting and I'll make a video about a week in the studio working on this body of work. And in typical fashion, stuff came up and I was taken away from my painting because I think I'm just not prioritizing it compared to other things. Not that the other things I'm doing aren't important either, but it just keeps falling by the wayside. And today is a Thursday, and I'm working in the city Friday through Sunday as a representative for a friend at an art fair. So I was like, Thursday, I'm gonna take as my day off. That's what I had planned since I don't get a weekend. And I was talking to my husband, he goes, what are you gonna do on your day off? And I'm like, I think I'm gonna paint. And he's like, I thought it was your day off. And I'm like, so now it's like I've gone back to using my free time for painting, which is ironic since I'm an artist full time. I don't know. We're gonna get some painting done today though, and hopefully that'll go well. Once again, it'll be the stop and start. I don't know. I don't even know what this video will necessarily be, but I just wanted to be honest and share what's going on with you guys. So let's jump into some painting. All right, it is coming up to 5 o'clock and it's a bit early for me to call it quits for the day, but I think I'm going to, just because I have a very long day for the next 3 days working. And yeah, I have some stuff that I need to go in and touch up on these, and then I think maybe some final layers. I'm gonna let it sit, marinate, and I'll talk to you guys next time when I'm back to work on this. Bye. Hi, it is a Saturday afternoon and Andre's going out for a bit, and so I'm gonna work on painting. I'm whispering because my dog, where is she? My dog is sleeping and I don't want to wake her up because I just want to work. So we're gonna get some painting done, and I'll talk to you guys more maybe in a few days when I get back to painting and tell you all my thoughts. But anyway, we're gonna paint a bit. Let's go. So this is where I got to. I'm not sure I like this. I was trying something different because like these sort of line blooms I do usually like cut into that space, but I was like, maybe it'd be interesting with the background, but I'm not sure I like it. Also, I couldn't decide between green and pink here, so I think I'm just gonna paint over it, and I might paint over these guys. I don't know. I'm gonna sleep on it. See you guys next time. Good morning. Good morning. It is a new week. I'm in the studio, not feeling the best. Got a little bit of chest pain, Costco chondritis, but I have my coffee. My doggy's here, and we're gonna get into some painting. I did a little bit of painting yesterday, so I'll show you guys that. Just kind of share my updates on where I'm at. So when I started this vlog, my thought was, oh, it's gonna be like a week of painting because I had an open week to paint. And all this talk about how I never make time to paint and that week was gonna be about that. The week went off the rails and I got completely distracted again. So it's a new week and we're gonna try one more time. But this is just the honest journey of what it's taking to work on this series. So I don't think it will be a week of painting, but it's going to be as much painting as I can, and hopefully I can get further on this body of work. And my hope for this vlog is that ultimately I will finish the body of work. So let me show you where I'm at. So this is what I'm currently working on. My issue was, let me move this chair out the way. My issue was I had took it out from storage and it's warped. So you can see here, there's a warp in it, and I was like, ugh, do I even put effort into working on something warped? But it's the same size as this canvas that's framed. So what I think I'll do is order the frame and screw it into place so that it'll be held down by the frame. But anyway, this is what I'm working on today because I really liked the composition of this one and I didn't want to have to redo it. But we'll see what happens. There's this guy still. I went in and I added some lines. It looks like they're not that bold, but that's okay. This is the one I worked on over the weekend and I've gotten it to a better place. And there's this one as well. But my thoughts. I went into my closet. Hi, Zelda. I went into my closet and I pulled out these two that I'd done for Miami as a part of my Super Bloom series. And while these feel distinctly different, I think there's things that I can put in. So like the motif of how I have a background and then an inner layer and how it goes in and in and in. I think that's what is missing. My gosh. Sorry, I feel out of breath because of this Costco chondritis, guys. So like for instance, on this big shape, I could add more in there. Like I think looking at pictures on my Instagram, I was like, maybe I'm done. But then seeing it in person, that element of depth is missing in those pieces. What I'm struggling with about why I'm finished is compositionally, I like it. So the negative space, I like. So I think it's adding depth into sort of these larger swatches. So I think I'm gonna try and work on that this week. And then, like I said, keeping that negative space that I like in all of these. And then here's two that I haven't touched, but will ultimately join. But yeah, I feel like I want to kind of get all of these three to the same level as these three, and then I can really work on those layers, which is a very different way for me to work. Typically, the way I work is I'll do one painting at a time. I think that is why ultimately I've struggled to create a body of work, because I do one at a time and then they come as one-offs. So this is my challenge. Create a cohesive body of work. So we're gonna continue.
Já sou gato escaldado nessa trilha.
morning, or almost good afternoon, because I slept in. I think I have a cold or something, but yesterday I started diving back into the larger painting and took the leap to start adding that depth I was talking about, which sometimes when you're like, I think I've talked about this before, but the middle part of painting is the hardest for me. The getting started's not so hard. I enjoy a blank canvas. I'm always excited. But then there's always this part in the middle where I'm like, what do I do to continue? What do I do to get over the hump? And so I think that's what's happening now. So I'm very excited for that. And I'm just gonna get back into that today. So let's do it. Also, in case you're curious about the setup, I have another table here that I've put the large one on. And as layers dry on that, I'll go over here and pick one of the other smaller ones to continue on. That's what the studio looks like. And I have Zelda here with her Valentine's Day toy. It was a heart. All right, let's go. Hello, friends. So I've continued painting. This one I went over because it needed a second coat. I added the yellows into this one. Still debating whether I'll keep that. And then I realized on these two that this middle's similar, so I think I'm gonna paint over this one because as you can see, I also got excited and started working on it before it fully dried. So yeah, I don't know, it's a little bit cold in the studio today, so I think everything's taking longer to dry. So I'm gonna let everything dry and stop touching things and ruining them, and I'm gonna go have lunch and I'm gonna walk Zelda, and I'll be back later. So see you then. I'm back with Zelda and I took a hot shower because it started pouring rain when we went out for our walk.
so we got a bit drenched, but we're good and going to jump back into some painting for the rest of the day. Let's do it. All right, I'm going to wrap up for the day and let a lot of these layers dry. But I will see you guys here tomorrow. Good night. Good morning. It is a new morning. I'm here with Zelda and we're in the studio and I'm about to get started on my day, but I wanted to share with you some realizations I had last night because I'm gonna read this off my phone here, but I posted like a work in progress photo, so on my studio, which you guys clearly see. And in the caption, I talked about how my jumping off point for all of these were that Super Bloom painting I created in 2021. I had been wanting to do a series around it, but that particular canvas left the studio within a month of me making it. And then I just kind of put that exploration on hold for other things. Although that became 2 murals, that canvas ultimately that I made in 2021, I did 2 murals based on it in 2022. So it did live on in another form, but I really wanted to make a body of work. But when thinking about this series of paintings, I'm just gonna read this because otherwise I'm just gonna mumble through it. That particular canvas left my studio within a month of creating it, and I put exploration on hold, but now I'm revisiting the body of work with some updated motifs, and I'm also coming to understand the work is my way of digging deep into finding a place of peace, joy, and comfort. Do you have a place or memory in your mind you go when things are bleak? Mine is Naoshima Island. I've explored it in paintings a few times before, but I find myself continually returning to it. But there I saw Monet's water lilies like never before, and there was a pond outside the museum with these water lilies. It's like a garden of memories. The water lilies in this work are wrapped up with my emotions, and I wonder if I'll be conveying my feelings. So then in the post, I showed the details of the paintings and then some images from my time in Naoshima. So like that was the water lily pond and some details of it, and this was the island. That was me. That piece actually got swept away in the ocean during a typhoon. But anyway, those are some images from Naoshima. And I mentioned how earlier I had tried to explore a painting about it. So then I was like, you know what, let me go back in my feed and see if I can find it. And I found the post, and it was from December 6th of 2018, and it was this painting. And on this post I wrote, "Do you have a place you go in your head when you need peace from your current situation?" So even that first question I wrote in my most current post yesterday, and it's the same as what I wrote in 2018. And it's like, it just connected there, that I was like, I really am still exploring this body of work. So I wrote, "Do you have a place you go in your head when you need peace from your current situation? For me, it's the 24 hours I spent alone on the islands of Naoshima and Teshima in Japan. It was my first and only time visiting there, so those memories are uninterrupted by previous thoughts of the same place or association with people I know. It makes things less complicated in a way. I went there by myself that one time and had a secular experience. The landscape, air, breeze, summer sun, sound of the waves, bugs buzzing, maybe a sporadic bicycle bell. The art in the spaces moved me, the cold cement against my feet and hands as I moved through the dark of James Turrell's works, as well as my eyes deceiving me by the light. The darkness opening into expanses when I saw Monet's water lilies at the Chichu Art Museum. Dozens of people laying in circles of sun in Teshima Island. The cooling sensation of the floor as water droplets moved by and bugs crawled. There are just a few experiences I'm trying to capture in this most recent series." So obviously at that time, I had it in my mind that I want to make a body of work about that experience. But I made that one painting, and then I tried to make a larger scale one, and then I ended out painting over it and I never finished it. But I also wrote, "This painting is based on visiting Monet's water lilies at the Chichu Art Museum. They had a replica of Monet's garden outside the museum where I sat and waited until my time slot to enter, which mimicked the experience you were about to have inside, and it was very moving for me. I remember the way the light played with the spaces in and outside the museum, the light reflecting on the water outside the garden to the square in the ceiling of the room, the paintings emanating natural light that would change as time progressed. It was hot outside, but cool inside. There were cement passageways, and you were asked to remove your shoes before viewing, and then you were absorbed by paintings. You almost felt as if you were swimming in them. The work would call to you from far away and bring you closer, and then you'd be lost in the many brush marks and variety of colors." So reading this from 2018 sort of just, I feel like it's reaffirming for me what I'm doing here. And I think that this is part of what it means to be an abstract artist. You have these moments, maybe memories or experiences, and then you have your emotions intertwined into it. And so while I have things that might be, graphically representative of these water lilies of nature, it's like my emotions are tied into it too, the sensations that I had when I was there. And I feel like now I'm looking at this body of work with just clearer eyes than I have before. So anyway, I wanted to share it on the vlog for my own documentation, but also maybe for you guys, in a sense that it's important to document your feelings, especially as an abstract artist. And I'm not great at writing, but I think this is a good push for me to continue to do that, and to, like, when I'm having those moments that, as they say, the moment lives rent-free in your head. Obviously my time there, it lives rent-free in my head. Anyway, I'm kind of stumbling through this, but I wanted to share that, yeah, if you have something, it can be a memory, and you can really tap into that emotionally for your work, and writing about it is helpful too. So anyway, it's good. I'm feeling good about it. Let's get into some painting. morning, friends. Back in the studio today, and I made good progress on 4 of the paintings, and I kind of got them all to what I'm calling the same level, the same amount of layered detail. And I have 2 more that I'm working on that I want to get to the same level of those, and then I'll determine my final layers, which I do have some ideas for, but I'm trying to decide whether or not to add them. Maria sent me a little message about it saying, oh, I know why these ones feel calmer, because you're missing this one element, and it's usually the element that I actually add last. So I'm debating whether or not to even add them in the end, because I want these to feel more peaceful and less chaotic than the previous works that I've done. So some things to think about, but I do have a full day in the studio today and tomorrow, so my hope is that I can get these last 2 paintings close to where the other ones are and take it from there. My hope was that I was going to, once again, like I actually spent a week working on these paintings, and that I would finish them up this week and I'd be able to wrap this vlog up, but you know, that's not how the creative process works. So I'll keep working on them, and then if I have to film later and push off editing and putting together this vlog later, that's what has to happen, because the work is the most important thing. So just trying to share the process with you guys honestly. Anywho, I'm gonna jump into it. Let's go. Okay, I'm waiting for paint layers to dry, and I was going to get jumped into this one. I noticed it doesn't have the leaf motif, which I do think to get it to be incorporated into this, I need to do some additions to that. The other thing, I was listening to a podcast while I was working, Art Juice. I will link them below, they're great. They were talking about this concept of painting. One of them had took a painting course, maybe a beginner painting course, and the teacher had said to her, the process is create, destroy, create, destroy, create, destroy, create, destroy. And she says that it really stuck with her and, you know, has helped her to go back to that idea of create, destroy, and painting. And I really connect with it because there's this thing where you can paint something and be like, oh, I really like what I did, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. Even though, like for instance on this one, earlier stages, it was clearly unfinished, but I had this feeling of preciousness about it where I'm like, oh, I liked what I did, so I don't want to do anything else to it. And I thought that was really brilliant. Just create, destroy, that's the process. You make something and then you layer on top of it, and you keep layering and layering and layering, and you don't get too precious with it because then you don't move forward in your process. And I just love that. And then it really put in mind this painting I have here. I've had this painting for years now, and to me it's like I don't particularly like it. It feels unfinished to me now looking at it. At the time previously I felt like, okay, this is what I'm doing, but now looking at it with fresh eyes, it feels unfinished. In the past I've posted it, I think twice, to Instagram being like, what do you guys think? Should I paint over it? And everybody's like, don't do it. But I've had zero interest in it. I don't like it. It just sits in my storage, and I feel like it's a waste because it's a really large canvas that could be used. So I'm gonna be brave and in the mindset of create, destroy, attempt to add it to this collection of paintings. I think it's because I was working on this black painting. It made me feel like, oh, I could do something with that. So we're gonna give it a shot, but first I'm gonna have some lunch. I'm gonna walk the dog. I have an interview for a friend's podcast. So I'm gonna get everything out of the way, and then we're gonna attempt to paint over it. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow when I have a fresh mindset. But I feel like today's the day because I'm a bit motivated. But anywho, I'm gonna go do all that, and I will see you guys in a bit. Bye. Okay, good morning. It's the next day, and I am going to work on more painting, and I might start the first layers on this guy. I was really motivated to do it yesterday, and I had my lunch and walked Zelda and did my friend's podcast, and then I got a call from my specialty pharmacy, and I've just been struggling to get my medication paid for right now. It's a whole thing, and it took, once again, hours on the phone, and I just kind of shut down. I don't like painting when I feel that way. So anyway, it is a new day, and we're going to get into it. So let's do it. okay. That felt really good. There's definitely something cathartic about painting over an old painting to me. And I don't know how it's gonna come out ultimately, but it just felt very good to get down those first layers. This is where it's at. And I just have paint in my hand because I went and added in the leaf motif. Well, I sketched it in here, and I'm gonna add that to this one because that's what it's missing. And then I'm gonna have some lunch and walk Zelda, our usual thing, and this afternoon get back to painting. And I'm not gonna answer my phone, even if my pharmacy calls. See you guys in a bit. Hi. I'm back. Zelda is walked, and I had a lovely lunch. But something I wanted to share with you guys. I posted on Instagram 2 questions. One was, do you think I lean more fine art or craft? No wrong answers. And I put in the poll, fine art, craft, in the middle of both, or neither of them. And I would say overwhelmingly, people said that they consider me fine art. And the second was in the middle of both, but it was like 7 votes to like 30 votes. So overwhelmingly, people think I lean more fine art. And then I said, another question. If you had to label my profession, what would you refer to me as? And this got brought up for me because when I was on my friend's podcast, she goes, what are you, an illustrator? Like, what do you call yourself? And I was like, well, I call myself a visual artist, but because she thought I went to school for illustration actually, and I went for graphic design. So if anything, I thought maybe people would still think I'm a graphic designer, but I put it out there. I said, what would you label me as? Visual artist, illustrator, graphic designer, or something else not listed like muralist or ceramicist. But overwhelmingly, 44 of the votes said visual artist, and 1 vote said illustrator, and then graphic designer and something not listed didn't even get picked. So yeah, like 98% of the vote refer to me as visual artist. So I feel pretty good about that people think I'm a visual artist and that I'm focused on fine art, because that's how I see myself, but you never know on the internet how people look at you, like how you're perceived. So my self-perception is that I'm a fine artist and I do fine art, but I don't know, people might look at me as someone who's a crafter or a graphic designer or an illustrator. So just interesting, validating. So I don't know what you guys think. You can leave a comment below, and I would love to hear it. And none of these things are negative, by the way. I think like in art school, they kind of gave you craft is a dirty word, but it's not. It's not at all. Being a crafter is totally valid. It's just sort of where I see myself and where I put myself, you know? And yeah, it's all good information. So anyway, I'm gonna get back into painting. Okay, friends, it is later in the day. I didn't get to record myself working because my camera battery died, but I want to show you where I'm at overall because I'm going to be spending the week down at my mom's next week, and we're going to be working on ceramics together. So I won't be able to work on these paintings for a week, but this is where I'm at. I'm happy with these 4. They feel good to me. I think they're nearing their last 1 or 2 layers. This one I was just working on just now. I think I'm probably gonna make some color changes on it, but I think I'm just tired because I was doing stuff and being like, oh, I just wanna hurry this up, and I'm not thrilled with the color choices. So I'm going to, I think, come back to that with fresh eyes next week. And then I got this laid out so I can start to do, I guess this is the first layer, so maybe my second layers. And then, Zelda, you say hi? Yeah. This is where this one is at. So this one and this one are sort of in the same spot, but considering the choices I was making on this guy right now, I don't want to continue because I think I'm just a bit burnt out. So it's 5 o'clock anyway. I would normally work for another hour or two, but I'm gonna call it quits for this Friday. It's been a productive week, and I will see you guys when I jump back into this. Bye.